Hello and welcome to Faultlines. I am your host Shahzad Raza. Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, we live in a very difficult neighborhood. On our western side, there is Afghanistan, from where we are facing constant threat of terrorism, and dozens of non-state actors, specifically Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, whom we now call Fitna al-Khawarij, they are posing dire threats to our national security and integrity. And every other day, we hear the news of act of terror against the security personnel and other civilians of Pakistan. On the eastern side, we have India. And India leaves no opportunity to destabilize Pakistan whichever way possible. And in fact, India is basically facilitating and supporting those non-state actors hiding in Afghanistan to destabilize Pakistan. In fact, they are being used as Indian proxies at the moment and for a very long time, in fact. On the other hand, we have China, which nowadays is involved in a bitter trade war with the United States of America, and ultimately Pakistan may face the pressure, and Iran, of course. And Iran is a sanctions hit country. Although there are the prospects and some optimism about the dialogue between Iran and United States of America, and there might be a breakthrough in future, but at the moment it's not the country which Pakistan can rely on as far as the trade is concerned, and of course because the country is facing serious sanctions from across the world. In this neighborhood, Pakistan has survived, and our foreign policy, despite the challenges and the hiccups and the road bumps, remained stood fast, resolute, and we always maintain our posture as a player which wants regional and global peace and security. And Pakistan has really played a role. And despite the fact that our enemies try every time to isolate Pakistan among the world community, but Pakistan always, and the state of Pakistan and Pakistan's the policy makers and implementers of Pakistan's foreign policy, they always outsmarted the move by the enemies of Pakistan. So now the foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates is going to visit Pakistan, and he would start the formal meetings from tomorrow. It is an important country. Entire Gulf region is very important for us, but the Saudi Arab and United Arab Emirates, these are the most two important countries for Pakistan, and always supported Pakistan and sided with Pakistan in difficult times. So how it is the duty of our government and the state to steer the country out of the crisis using the latest tools and the techniques of foreign policy, and what are the vision exactly which we are trying to pursue and approach. This is the key question I'm going to raise today in my program. And in the studio, Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmad is joining us, known academic and journalist. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for your valuable time. General Muhammad Raza Khan is also with us on a video link. Thank you very much, General Saab, for your time as well. And very soon, Anwar Iqbal, senior correspondent from Washington, D.C., will also be with us. Dr. Saab, to you. As they say that every challenge offers tremendous opportunities. So now, as I just mentioned, there is a trade war between United States of America and China, and Iran and USA are very close to have a breakthrough as far as the nuclear deal is concerned. So you think that in the months or year to come, there are going to be lots of opportunities for Pakistan, although now at the moment they seem like very grave challenges?
Well, you rightly pointed out that basically every crisis or a challenge is an opportunity. In fact, the greater the crisis, the bigger the opportunity. So, and also I appreciate that you laid down a very important framework for our analysis, because Pakistan's geographical location has been both a curse and also a blessing. Remember that after the Second World War, two of the greatest wars in the world have been fought next door in Afghanistan. And if we calculate since 1945, when the United Nations was established, you can say that we have been the principal zone of conflict. In any such region, it is very difficult for a country to survive and sail through successive challenges. And I think Pakistan's story in the last 78 years of its independence is that of resilience. Resilience to successive global, regional crises, and also in a neighborhood which unfortunately the entire eastern side, the neighbor has not accepted of her existence. So there has been a perpetual hostility with India, despite the fact that in the last 20 years or so, we have made so many attempts. Next door, Afghanistan, again a very complicated story, and now I think our, limits have been crossed, or therefore we are, approaching the Afghan government like before, that they should be very serious about combating cross-border terrorism. Next door, Iran, I think there is a promising news from there with the Trump administration initiating a very serious dialogue. As you know, a couple of years ago, thanks to China, that Saudi-Iran normalization took place. We were always in the crossfire because Saudi Arabia is our closest ally. Iran is our immediate neighbor. And with both nations, we have historical, cultural, religious, ethnic, sectarian relations. So therefore, it was a very difficult, fine balancing act that we were performing throughout our history. In the last couple of years, that irritating factor has fizzled away. And if Iran is able to, get some concrete outcome in this current diplomacy with the United States, then obviously another era of regional and global harmony will dawn, and Pakistan will be its core beneficiary.
All right, all right. Anwar Iqbal, senior journalist from Washington DC, has also joined us. Thank you very much, Anwar Saab, for your time. General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, you heard what Dr. Ishtiaq had to offer and his excellent analysis, how Pakistan is facing the challenges and how we can convert these challenges into good opportunities for us. So you think that the way our foreign policy is moving at the moment, we may emerge as, if not global, but the regional peacemakers and the conflict areas around us, and we would be playing a key role to resolve those conflicts, including the conflict with India.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think I'd like to start with the strategic direction which the Qaid had given to our foreign policy on the 15th of August 1947. And I'd like to quote him. He said, quote, "Our objective should be peace within and peace without. We want to live peacefully and maintain cordial and friendly relations with our immediate neighbors and with the world at large. We have no aggressive designs against anyone. We stand by the United Nations Charter and will gladly make our contribution to peace." So we are actually following in letter and spirit what the Qaid had dictated, and our foreign policy is essentially based on this dictum. To that, we have also added, an emphasis on friendly relations with Muslim countries as a whole. Having said that, I think we have challenges in trying to fulfill this desire of the Qaid and that of our foreign policy. We have, of course, certain challenges from our neighbor to the east, which is India, which is not prepared actually to resolve any outstanding or contentious issue with Pakistan through dialogue. It is shying away for dialogue. And it is unfortunate that, a number of CBMs with India in the past have also been forgotten by them. And the main reason for that is that the present Indian government's vote bank depends.
I'm sorry to cut you with a question. What is your understanding why India is shying away from the dialogue?
Yes, so I was telling you that the main reason is that they're looking at political advantages accruing from enmity with Pakistan, with the people of Pakistan, with Muslims in general, with Kashmiris in particular. And they think that by adopting this policy, they would probably stay in power perpetually. That is actually something to worry about, not only for Pakistan, but the rest of the world. Of course, there is Afghanistan, and while we have been supporting Afghanistan in every way possible since we came into being, unfortunately, there has been no reciprocity from the side of Afghanistan from 1947. They were the only country who refused to recognize us or to support us in becoming a members of the United States, and the rest is history. We are aware how much have we sacrificed for them, but I think I would say that they
Issue
are.
of Jalsa, we will discuss this issue of Afghan refugees and how we facilitated them for more than 4 decades. Anwar Iqbal Saab, you meet the important personalities at the Capitol Hill and the White House on the regular basis, and now Pakistan is trying to reach out to Taliban regime. And recent visit of the foreign minister Ishtiaq is an evidence of that fact. What is the vibe like in Washington D.C. How Pakistan is behaving and conducting its business with its immediate neighbor, especially Afghanistan?
I think Pakistan in Washington is seen as an important country, a country that the United States would like to have a good working relationship. Of course, we are not back in the days when U.S. troops are based in Afghanistan or when they were fighting against the Russians. Those naturally situations have changed, and there is a new situation where the United States is not directly involved in the region, but it does consider Pakistan as an important country in that region and would like to have good cordial relations with Pakistan. But right now, the present government, the administration in Washington is more focused on its own issues. As you know, they have started so much that they're finding it difficult to handle. There is this trade war. Then there are problems with immediate neighbors, Canada, Mexico, and other nations. Then they're having sort of an unsmooth relationship with Europe. They're considering their position in NATO. Then there is a very large and big issue of deportation of immigrants, which has become a probably the biggest issue within the United States. You saw there were protests yesterday in all major American cities. There were protests are being held today. There were protests last week too. Right now, in Washington, the focus is not on Pakistan, but rather on the issues confronting these.
Absolutely. Well, Anwar Saab, but whatever the Trump administration is doing, it would have a spillover effect all over the world. And of course, there are serious concern how this tariff war is unfolding, although there is a brief delay of 90 days after which the tariff might be imposed on the countries like Pakistan. So this spillover effect, is Trump administration ready to negotiate with the countries like Pakistan, or the decision they made already would stay after the expiry of 90 days?
No, they have already said that they have expanded this period for 90 days because they want to hold bilateral talks with each nation separately. There are about 70 plus countries that are affected by these changes, and they are holding bilateral talks with some of these countries already. And a Pakistani delegation is expected to arrive soon in Washington. I mean, it was supposed to come on the 20th, like yesterday, but then it was delayed because, as you know, that our finance minister reached Washington today for attending the spring meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund (IMF), and and he will also have bilateral talks with U.S. officials, particularly the officials from the U.S. Treasury Department and the Department of State. And in those meetings, also he will also meet the finance ministers and other officials of the countries who are affected by this raise in.
One question before I move forward, Anwar Iqbal Sahab. What is your information and analysis, the way dialogue process between, indirect maybe, the dialogue between United States of America and Iran, they are moving forward. You think that there is going to be a breakthrough in near future?
Yeah, let me just finish in 2 sentences what I was saying. So, what will happen now is that the finance minister will go back to Pakistan, and he will brief the delegation, the trade delegation that will be coming to Washington probably next week or in 2 weeks for talks with the U.S. trade representatives. And that is how Pakistan and the United States are handling this issue. As far as Iran is concerned, I think both sides, I mean, the Americans as well as the Iranians have made it very clear that they want to resolve this issue through negotiations, and they think that a breakthrough is possible, that Iran will accept the American demand not to pursue a nuclear weapons program, and then in return America will relax some of the sanctions. So that is what they are negotiating. And I think both people, both in Washington and Tehran, are very hopeful that this crisis can be resolved.
All right. Do stay with us, Anwar Iqbal Sahab. Dr. Ishtiaq, what's your take on these negotiations between USA and Iran? And there are hopes from both sides. And if there is a breakthrough, what is it in for us?
Well, you see, perhaps the only issue from the American perspective in these talks is regarding the Iranian nuclear program. Now, obviously, as far as declarations are concerned, or the official position that Iran has always adopted, that its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes. However, successive UN atomic energy reports, obviously they carry Western bias as well, but they say that the enrichment of uranium, the level which should be below 5%, has somehow reached 60%, which is a weapon grade, close to making a nuclear bomb. Now, obviously, these dynamics are related to the otherwise, Middle East peace process and Iran's complicated relationship with America, with the West in general, and Israel in particular. Having said that, I think, Trump, even last time when he was in power, his focus was America first. This time it is reinforced. And what he seeks, unlike being a Republican, is generally peace across the world, because he has all along been a businessman and he understands the value of economy, which is why so many initiatives that he has taken domestically or internationally, you will notice that they are geared towards making the American economy vibrant again. And that is only possible if America is at peace within and is promoting peace and reconciliation abroad. And I think that is the wider scope. And on economic issues, this renewed protectionism, I would argue that there are always two situations facing a leader or a nation. One is to go with the business as usual, or intervene radically and try to change the situation. That is called the transformative approach. Whether it works or not is a different matter. And I think US...
At least he is breaking the stalemate.
Yeah, he is breaking the stalemate. You adopt maximalist position sometime on certain issues, but your ultimate intent is to somewhere reach a compromise.
Right.
So, which is where the US and Iranian negotiators have completed 2 rounds so far, and another one will start on Wednesday. And I think they are discussing now the technicalities involved in the process. Iran wants relaxation in economic sanctions, because as you know, Trump has again applied the maximum pressure policy on Iran.
So you are also hopeful that there might be a breakthrough?
I think all negotiated outcomes are slowly very complicated, And I think it's a very, very positive process, and it augurs well for Pakistan in the region.
Jalsa, would you like to say something on this, that how it would augur well for Pakistan if both United States and Iran reach some sort of agreement on nuclear issue or other contentious issues?
President Trump has directly threatened to an aggression against Iran in case these talks fail, which is a very serious matter, not only for Iran, but also Pakistan. And having said that, I would add that Iran, being a party to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, maintains its complete right to pursue peaceful nuclear technology. Some of this technology is, of course, dual usage. And I think most of these aspects were covered in the 2015 JCPOA, which was Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. I believe that going back to the JCPOA during these talks may not be possible in the short term, because if you recall, the JCPOA took years, to be finalized. And then, when there was a change in government in the United States, they actually withdrew from that. But I think we need to know that it was not only the United States, but also a very large number of European countries who were and are still, they believe in the JCPOA, and their outlook at this moment during this dialogue, although they have not been involved in this.
Jalsa, yeah, sorry, hold your thought. My question was, how do you see Iran without sanction as a neighbor to Pakistan?
Well, as I have told you, that I'm not talking of sanctions. I am talking now of actually physical aggression with which Iran has been threatened by the United States and probably, some of its closest ally, and we know who they are. We have lived,
They reach a compromise. What if they reach a compromise?
No, I mean, let me complete my argument. Your first question is related to living with Iran while it is sanctioned. We have done that, and I think Iran has survived. And I think our relationship with Iran, despite the sanction, was excellent. And we have been doing trade with us. And the main reason for that is that both Pakistan as well as Iran, we need each other, and we must continue to depend each other, as it relates to mutual benefit and mutual trade. What I was saying, the JCPOA, I think it's, I agree with the other panelists that it is at least, a very positive development. But I think the details working out and the time frame of it is going to be challenging, for all the concerned parties. And this has to be done with now on familiar grounds. The staff work, that has been done in the past is already there, and I think it will be relatively easy now to move forward on establishing some kind of an understanding which is better, good both for Iran, the United States, and also for this region, particularly Pakistan.
Well, very well. Anwar Iqbal Sahab, yesterday Foreign Minister Ishtiaq Dar visited Kabul, had good meetings with senior Taliban officials, and both sides claimed that the visit was a success, and both countries decided to move forward on several key issues, including terrorism, economy, people to people contact, and the movement of the citizens of the two countries. Pakistan had two very simple demands from Taliban regime. One, honor all these clauses mentioned in Doha Agreement, and hand over all those members of Fitna al-Khawarij which are in fact right now taking refuge or residing in Afghanistan while they are wanted in several heinous crimes in Pakistan. So you think that Taliban officials are going to honor Doha Agreement, and if not, at least they would cooperate with Pakistan in letter and spirit as far as the TTP is concerned.
Well, so far, we have just taken the first step. We held the much needed talks. Any other issue, this was the only way forward, possible way forward. So we did the right thing. Our met their foreign minister and other officials, and they negotiated important things, and they have reached agreements on some of the key issues. But the thing is, whether the Taliban, two things. Number one, are they sincere in implementing it? Number two, can they implement it? These are two very big questions. I mean, they may be sincere, but can they? Can they actually? Do they have the capability of deporting or pushing out so many armed, battle-tested fighters from Afghanistan? I mean, these are the people who have been fighting with the Taliban against the Americans, against the Russians for like almost 50 years. They have roots inside Afghanistan. They share tribal and ethnic links with Afghanistan. It will not be easy to push them out. So yeah, I mean, if they are sincere, they will try. They can work with Pakistan, and they can control the situation. But we have to wait and see. I mean, how sincere they are and how capable they are of implementing these clauses.
No, but at least they should be one of those things. If they are not capable, at least they have to be sincere or honest with their immediate neighbors and the neighbor which facilitated and supported them for more than 40 years.
True, true. You are absolutely right. Of course, 100%. There is no justification for Taliban's aggression against Pakistan, and they should actually acknowledge Pakistan's assistance, and they should work with Pakistan in ensuring that that they do not. I mean, that Kabul does not play a role in fermenting troubles inside Pakistan. But in the recent past, they have done otherwise. They even went to the extent of establishing good relations with India, and India has been able to build some influence inside Afghanistan. So we will have to wait and see how sincere the Taliban are and how capable they are in fulfilling their promises.
One more question, Anwar Saab, on this specific issue. There were reports recently in the media that Trump administration is concerned about the arms and ammunition left behind by the American and the NATO forces in Afghanistan, and there are reports that most and a huge cache of those weapons, the non-state actors got hold on them, and because of that latest technology, they are making precision strikes against their targets inside Pakistan. So you think that that could be a minimum common agenda between USA and Pakistan as far as Afghanistan is concerned?
Definitely is. It always has been a common agenda between the two countries. The Americans do not like to have bases of armed groups in any country, because they know whenever something like that happens, it often turns into an anti-American activities, that those camps and bases that are established in Afghanistan are ultimately used against the United States. So Americans do not want that to happen, and they tried to get India involved. They tried to use other sources to control those forces, but they realized that while India could be useful in some other issues, but as far as this situation in Afghanistan is concerned, particularly the groups like TTP are concerned, it is only Pakistan that can play an effective role. So they would like to work with Pakistan, and they are willing to, as we saw during President Trump's joint address to the U.S. Congress, that he acknowledged Pakistan's help in arresting and handing over a terrorist. The Americans not only realize Pakistan's importance on this issue, but are also willing to work with Pakistan. And both countries have strong grounds to cooperate with each other on this issue.
All right. Dr. Saab, yesterday's visit by the foreign minister to Afghanistan, you think that the statements were very positive both sides, but the question remains whether the Taliban are willing and are capable, in fact, to honor all those agreements they made with the United States, and they would yield to the Pakistani demand of handing over all those militant personnel.
Well, Shahzad, as you know that I have a long career in journalism as well, and part of that was covering the rise of Taliban in Afghanistan. And you know, like these leaders at that time when they had the government first time, you had the Mullah Rabbani as the president, Mutawakkal as foreign minister, and there is always a wedge between two Ks in Afghanistan. You know, whenever there is a Taliban government, remember that there will be an issue between Kandahar and Kabul. So Kandahar is their ideological, rather more extremist side, and since Kabul deals with the world, they eventually become moderates. The same is happening now. This Mullah Muttaqi, who is the foreign minister, I remember meeting him back in mid-90s. He was just running a magazine in Kandahar at that time. But obviously, he has been dealing with the rest of the world. He can be considered a moderate among others. A couple of them, Mullah Brother, Ishtiaq and Zai, you know, they were also in the moderate camp. They have fled to Dubai. So there is a deep tension within Afghanistan. You know, when you deal with Afghanistan under the Taliban, it is not that we can do something.
Okay.
There is something that has to take place internally. So how the increasingly globalized faction of Taliban sitting in Kabul asserts itself, if it does, then our issues on counter-terrorism and so many other problems will be easily solved.
So, going by your argument, are you
Yes.
saying that the government officials or the key officials, including the prime minister or the foreign minister or any other personality sitting in Kabul, working from Kabul, they are basically willing to cooperate with Pakistan, but it is the supreme leadership of Taliban which is not willing or maybe creating hindrance to
Well,
the development.
even on the issue of girl rights to education or women's rights to workplace, again it was the same thing. The problem is that these moderate leaders do not assert enough to challenge the rigid, ideologically motivated leadership sitting in Kandahar. That's the issue. And obviously, it requires that the region, Pakistan, other countries, and the global powers also consistently engage with Kabul.
An argument is given. Maybe
Yeah.
the factions of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, they might have stood by their Afghan colleagues in fight against the United States or way back in 1979 against the Soviet Union. But the question is, they are also involved in many crimes inside Pakistan, which is an immediate neighbor, and always be helpful to people of Afghanistan in time of need. So, don't you think that this is the time they have to choose between Pakistan or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the Fitna al-Khawarij?
Well, you know, that is why you have seen that many crises have happened, even during the course of the war on terror, when there was pressure on Pakistan from the Americans, the so-called double game, and there were miscreants from within the then ruling Afghan government who were really staunchly anti-Pakistan. Yet, you have seen that we have sailed through all these successive phases, and currently again we are engaging, despite the fact that there are so many terrorist attacks, not only by TTP but also by ISKP against Pakistani targets as well as CPAC and Chinese citizens. So, but still, ultimately it is through engagement, and obviously carrot and stick strong nations like Pakistan should adopt as a policy, which is what we do, but we prefer to engage in a very diverse fashion, economically, politically, culturally, you know, our health, facilitating the Afghans in many segments. And I think that multifaceted, comprehensive engagement will continue, and Pakistan will use both carrots and sticks in dealing with Afghanistan, or for that matter, any country in the neighborhood which is a cause of concern for us.
Which is a cause of concern for, of course. Jalal Sahab, These are the issue basically which we have to deal with sooner or later, but it involves the other states, other countries, other players which are obviously not answerable to us. But here we also see a problem, and a very serious problem, that from within we have seen certain elements creating problem for the states, making false propaganda against the security forces, and there are issues of political stability. I mean, they try to give a message to the world that in Pakistan there is no political stability, and they are basically shying away from dialogue. So how important it is to have everyone, every major important player on board on the key decision, key questions like dialogue with Afghanistan, future of the relationship with India, or we would be stuck with all these elements where there are so much of the fake news and the propaganda going on.
You see, all this is encompassed, in the nature of democracy and the formation of government. We know that, the parliament is essentially responsible for making laws. If we decide to give, let's say, the power to the parliament to also permit the government to initiate a dialogue or not to initiate a dialogue, or to formulate a certain policy, or whether we give this right, to the opposition, that may not be really something, to decide or to run a government. While it may be ideal, to have a consensus on all major issues from the parliament as well as the opposition, usually what happens all over the world is that the government, which is actually the representative of the majority of the people, and the cabinet of that government makes the major decisions. And once they make the major decisions, then everybody else must actually accept those decisions, and because that is the spirit of democracy. Having said that, I'd like to add to what has already
Yes, sir.
been said on about Afghanistan, and that is that, when you read now the statements from the two sides after the very positive visit of the foreign minister of Afghanistan, it was surprising to read, some of the statements emanating from the Afghan officials, which I thought were very undiplomatic. And actually, they were trying, to put certain demands on Pakistan about the refugees who were supposed to go back to Afghanistan, and many other things. Uh, while uh, our statement of the joint statement made a mention of neither country, permitting the use of its territory against the other. I think there was no need for us to say that, because we are not using, our territory to carry out aggression or to send terrorists inside Afghanistan. It is the other side, and I think all our relationship with Afghanistan must now be clearly controlled through specific incentives and disincentives communicated at the highest possible level to the Afghan politico military leadership. And we hope that they will understand that, which includes, the fatwa given by the supreme leader, who had said that, anyone from Afghanistan who attacks outside, inside, yeah, in Afghanistan neighborhood, it is not a jihad. We need to remind them of this fatwa, and to tell them that if the TTP, has if they have promised their allegiance to the Afghans, then I think they also need to follow this fatwa.
Jalsa, point well taken. We believe that the foreign minister must have made it abundantly clear during his visit to Kabul yesterday. Anwar Iqbal Sahab, even in the country like United States, where devolution of power took place long time ago, the foreign policy is an exclusive domain of the central government or the federal government. But here in Pakistan, we see the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government is trying to reach out to Kabul to discuss the critical and sensitive issue like the terrorism or influx of terrorists in Pakistan. So, and they have also written a letter to the federal government to allow the KP government to deal with such matters. But don't you think that it should be dealt by the people sitting in Islamabad, the federal government, which was voted to power by the people of Pakistan?
Yes, obviously. Foreign policy is entirely an issue that should be dealt by the federal government. But the problem in present-day Pakistan is that provinces are not just the KP. There are certain issues in Sindh that have agitated people. There are certain issues in Balochistan that have agitated people, and provinces are making demands that will be very difficult for any center to accept. But these things are happening, and therefore the center needs to devise a strategy to deal with this situation.
All right. Any last thought on this, Dr. Saab?
Well, I think
The role of and the strange demands of the KP government that they would talk to Kabul on the contentious issues.
I think let me just make a point on this fake news stuff. I think even on issues of foreign policy, Pakistan is dealing with the neighboring countries and internal dynamics of state and society. We often see, a lot of propaganda, unfortunately, steered by people who have been educated, raised here, and have really benefited from the state of Pakistan. And I think, in my opinion, we should leave the state and its key institutions aside in this tug of war or the battle lines that we have drawn among ourselves, unfortunately. Because ultimately, you see, the existence of the state depends upon its key institutions. And the military as a whole and the army specifically is the key institution that keeps the unity and this fabric of the state and society intact. And therefore, it is extremely important that while we should debate and discuss and bring into disrepute or in contention every other issue in the in the wide space between the state and society, we should be very careful.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmad, for your time. Anwar Iqbal Saab, General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, thank you so much as well for joining my show. Pakistan is an important country, and this fact is recognized by the superpowers and the countries across the world, and the enemies of Pakistan, which always try to isolate us. They have failed in the past and they will fail in the future. We just be very much confident and believe in ourselves and never underestimate ourselves. This is the key thing, and how we will move forward, taking our neighbors together. This is our will, this is our wish and desire, and we always try to be a very peaceful, humble nation, willing to promote peace not only in the South Asian region but across the world. So, world has recognized our efforts in the past, and they will of course do it as far as our efforts are concerned. Thank you so much for watching the show. Good night and Khuda Hafiz.